Welcome back to Fueled by Coffee Podcast. My name is Matt, and I'm your host, and I'm welcoming you all today to the very, very, very first ever, no idea how it took us 4 years to get to this, but our very first Halloween podcast episode. We do Christmas every single year, and it just so happened to line up that this year we're doing a Halloween one. As always, you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Follow us, send us a message, comment, share us with your friends. We greatly appreciate it. We have merch. Go do all that cool stuff. As you all know, this is a podcast centered around coffee and conversation. And if you don't know, welcome in. Follow us. So we're going to get to the coffee in a minute, but I have to announce our guest today. Because every episode... So like I said in the last episode, we're doing things a little different. We used to do, try and do unique guests every episode. But now we're just going to do a similar cast of... as Pete and I coined the term roasts, rotating co-hosts.
That's a good one.
On the last, rotating, because there's no set co-host. It's more just whoever's free, whoever fits the episode. We have kind of like what Pat McAfee does. He just has, similar people on all the time. I think it's a good system, and I'm bringing back in the best. Best of Fueled by Coffee every couple of weeks. Or at least trying to. But yeah, so today, returning. My guest today has not been on a podcast since Christmas of 2021.
Whoa.
It's been a long time coming.
I guess it has been a while.
We are here today with podcast Hall of Famer. Professional. So that's what I did.
Oh, no.
We're here again with Sean, everyone. Sean, it's been a long-ass time coming.
Here I am.
So I do just...
Hello.
I do just want to say, I know that these might not be your favorite things to do, but I appreciate you taking the time to do this because I legitimately mean this when I listen back to our episodes, they are genuinely I listed my top 10 favorite episodes, and I'm pretty sure all of ours are in there.
You're a sweetheart.
And I mean that too. It's one of those
Thanks,
there's just that natural rapport, knowing each other for 20 years. It's 2003, dude.
Right. Yeah. 4.
Was it 4?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's one of those things, you have that long-standing. Whenever we talk, it's just it just happens naturally, and
well, yeah,
and we're both silly.
It's kind of something that happens when you touch tubes.
And but yeah, so Sean's back today, everyone, for this wonderful. We both love Halloween, and we also love coffee, and we also love donuts. So today, our coffee of choice, we actually just picked up at Donerds Donuts in Bethlehem. Sean got a Nitro cold brew.
Yep.
And I got a brown sugar shaken oat milk espresso.
Fancy girl.
I know. These are so good, dude. Oh my God.
Mine's just black. Because I'm better.
Dude, black cold brew. I have a thing for black cold brew.
Yeah, no, it's a thing.
Is it? How is it? Is it?
It's good. I think they put too much ice in it, maybe, and it's a little
watered
It's a little thin, but
Okay.
it's still very flavorful and
Flavorful. Is it a strong, maybe a dark roast or something?
Probably medium to dark.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's really good.
Yeah. One thing, back before we took the hiatus from the podcast, I was trying to better describe the coffees instead of just being
difficult.
This is good.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to step on anyone's toes, for the coffee snobs out there,
Right.
But I would say, so brown sugar shaken espressos, it's, it's made with...
You can't taste the coffee.
No, it cuts through.
This
one is definitely a little too oat milky.
It looks very milky.
Yeah, definitely not the best. I've had my wife make some banging ones. But anyways, yeah, no, I would say it's good. I mean, it's a nice refreshing drink, but I'll have to get the black cold brew next time because that's got a place in my heart.
It's not as good as the one in Jim Thorpe, as I said, because when I had one there, it was whoa. I felt like I was...
On the moon.
On Nitro.
Yeah.
Yeah. like I was about to blast off, but it's still... has the same flavor profile, whatever it is. I don't know. I can't get detailed on that.
Yeah.
Because it's...
Notes of
cherry and...
I can't do.
Maybe some notes of cherry. I don't know.
Yeah. But also, today we also picked up donuts while we were there. Sean has had... Well, you had a donut from there, correct? Or you said
we got there late in the day.
Up in Jim
Thorpe, the original location. We got there late in the day, and they had like 4 donuts left. Mm-hmm. And I think the craziest one was like a Pop-Tart donut. And
what kind of Pop-Tart?
Strawberry.
Oh, okay.
So I had that one, but Killian got, it was like I want to say it was a cherry lime.
Oh, shit.
So it was like cherry icing and then like a lime filling. It was really good. He let me have a bite. Mm-hmm. It was
interesting.
It's a little sweet, but it was unique.
Okay.
Like I've never had a donut like that. Unlike myself, it was very unique.
Yeah.
So it was very good.
Yeah.
I was impressed. I'm not always for the sweet stuff, but
yeah, absolutely. So today we're gonna actually be trying a couple of their donuts. I've never had one, but the one that caught my eye, so me being Italian, I had to get the cannoli donut. For those who can't see with their ears, it's basically just like it looks like a fried yeast donut, and then they cut it in half and filled it with cannoli filling and dipped the edges in chocolate chips. So,
and then put powdered sugar on top.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm stoked.
They look beautiful.
I'm gonna try this.
Look at that cross section. All right. How is it?
It was pretty good.
Yeah? Does it taste like a cannoli?
They did a good job on that filling.
Yeah? Not too sweet?
No.
Okay. I'm about to bite mine then.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's got that right level of sweetness, man. That kind of like hint of cheese. You like that?
That hint of cheese.
That's what I tell my wife.
Just like when it's hot outside. That hint of cheese.
No, definitely.
Yeah, no, it tastes like a cannoli. Like a good cannoli.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have the poopy ones that are like, I don't know, from the grocery store or something, and you're like, that's okay.
The ones that are too like
the kind that your Nana brings over when you're little, and you're like.
It sounds like you got something personal story with this.
I don't think my Nana ever did that, but somebody along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's really good. It's like it's from a real Italian bakery or something.
They had some crazy flavors there too. They had a
tiramisu.
They had a tiramisu. They had a pumpkin, so it's Halloween, of course. They had a jack-o'-lantern. It looks like a little jack-o'-lantern on the top, but it's apparently filled with pumpkin cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had your classics, your glaze, your Boston cream, and then they had a blueberry cheesecake.
And a banana creme brulee.
Oh, I don't think I saw that one.
You didn't?
I was
kind of surprised that you didn't get it.
I was too focused on that blueberry cheesecake, honestly.
That looked incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like it might have been a mess, but...
Yeah.
But it looked really good.
But yeah, so shout out to Donerds.
Very good.
Definitely be tagging them on Instagram. This is good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's jump in, man. Halloween. We have done tons of Halloweens together.
Yeah, I guess we have.
You guys, I mean, so like, let's just Halloween as a whole, like that's the way you kick off the holidays. That's like the preseason to the holidays. I think we talked about that on our one Christmas episode.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah,
it's just like it's that
it's
build.
The start of the season.
Yeah,
of the holidays.
Yeah,
Holiday season,
and it's worthy because it's just like,
fun.
Especially in recent years, we do like the little party.
Yeah, we missed you last year though, asshole. Sorry,
I'm pretty sure I missed the one in 2019 too. I think I was in Vermont.
There was another one. I was very disappointed in you, as usual. But no, it's always great when you're coming.
I kept you edging for a whole year.
This keeps me satisfied and smiling.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know. We always like. You guys always plan it around the Emmaus Halloween parade.
Yeah,
so we come over and we do all
we have
sorts
a little party,
crazy foods, and I'm trying to think of what my favorite. One of my favorite foods was those mummy hot dogs.
Oh, you like those?
Well,
yeah, those are good.
That was the year I was an old man.
They're
of course
hot dogs.
I was shoving
salty.
them in my mouth and sucking on them.
Any plans for what you're going to be this year?
God, I don't even know, dude. I wanted to be Negan, but I gotta find... The only thing I don't have is a leather jacket.
You gotta shave your head.
I know. I'm on the fence about that. Comment on our Instagram if I should shave my head. I'm on the fence about doing it.
Are man buns still cool? That's the real question. Or are they just irritating?
I was thinking about it today. I was like, Triple H went from the long hair thing to shaving his head.
And I think he looked better.
He looked tougher.
Yeah, he looked scarier.
He did.
He did get leaner too at that time. I feel like.
I wonder if his power level was in his hair.
Maybe. Maybe it was holding him back. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like the training clothes.
But like leaner in a good way. I don't mean, like before, for a while he had a bit of fat on him.
Yeah, no, you're right. There
was a time period where
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure that's a very stressful job, especially when you're fucking the boss's daughter.
Oh, God. when you're helping to run the company while simultaneously wrestling in the company.
Wrestling her in.
Halloween Joy is just a great way. This is like the best time of the year, in my opinion. I would recommend if you're a new listener, or if you just haven't heard it, go check out Evergreen Year 1, the very first Christmas episode. Sean and I talked about the holidays with our family and just the holidays in general. And we also talked about Thanksgiving. There's some great stories in there. That's a good one. We talked about going to a certain adult bookstore. But yeah.
It's gone.
I know, it's gone. Rip to a legend. No, that place was fucking disgusting.
Disgusting. So gross.
Today, the overall topic is just horror. Anything horror.
Adult bookstore and then horrors. Jeez, man.
No,
I thought this was a family show.
I know, it's so hard. It's when I named the episode horror, I was like, oh my God, that's such a hard word to say.
Yeah, it's
horror.
a horrible word.
Horror.
Killian used to call them horrid movies.
That's funny.
Oh no.
Oh, Sean splooged his cream on the plate.
Oh,
remember that first Christmas episode when we're eating the cake during the episode? There were times where I was like, Sean, talk, because I was like eating. It just sounded like I had a mouthful of, But yeah, so like in terms of horror, I'm not a huge like horror movie person. And, the shitty part about that is I always. Not that I dated a ton of people, but I ended up with people who loved horror movies that were just like, oh my God, we gotta go see that. You know what the worst fucking one was? The Nun.
Oh yeah?
I fucking hated that movie, and it was...
I heard that it sucked.
It did suck.
I never saw it. I really wanted to. I thought it was a great concept. But
so it all plays off of the...
And it looks cool.
Kayla's a connoisseur of... and it's either the Conjuring or the Insidious movies. They all play off of each other. It's one of the two. I always get them mixed up.
Yeah,
it's all the same to me. But and the Nun is a part of like the whole like demonic entity thing from exactly. Okay. But I remember the year that came out was 2018. I was on vacation in Maine.
Okay.
And you're on vacation or whatever, and the person I was with at the time was like, I really want to go see the Nun. And I was like, it's a waste. It looks like a stupid movie. It's going to be a waste of money. And they were like insistent. I remember them being like, well, this is my vacation too. So we went, and wouldn't you know, we walked out of the theater, and they were like, wow, that sucked. And I was like, I told you.
Yeah, I thought the previews looked pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's a cool concept. Like nobody's ever really done like a murderous nun kind of horrid movie before. So I was like, oh, that's kind of dope. Like I kind of like when things are opposites of what they should be.
Yeah.
Like a nun
that's
doing
true.
Naughty things is kind of different. It adds a shit. Speaking of naughty, the way you eating that donut. Ooh.
But yeah, no, it wasn't, dude, it wasn't good at all.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, so Kayla, my wife, loves.
She looks scary though. Like,
it's one of those typical movies, and this will actually play really well into the next like topic that I want to talk about like later in the podcast. I want to spend some time in this like.
Do they show her too early on, or
no? So
do they show too much?
One of my beefs with horror movies. So like, Kayla is a big horror movie fan. One of the things we've been doing.
You would never guess that.
The last couple of years is like, we've been watching the Saw movies.
Oh, okay.
Which I will say, we're almost through them. I think we have like 2 left.
Oh my God.
Before the brand new one. My very, very favorite is the first one. I thought the
first one's the best.
It totally is, because it's one of those, like, I remember we watched the second one. That's one where they're all in the house.
That one's pretty good too.
I hated the second one.
It's really uncomfortable.
Like, I felt like...
Is that the one with the box with the needles and all that? Oh my god. That pit, whatever it was.
Oh yeah, it was a pit, yeah.
That kind of went through me a bit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But, like, the second one, I feel like... So, like, the first one was more like... I think, like, psychological.
It messed with your mind.
Yeah, and especially, like, that ending. The ending is what... Because every Saw movie, if anyone listening has never watched a Saw movie, it's like the whole time you're watching this movie and you're like, none of this shit makes sense. Like, what the fuck am I even watching? And then you get to the very end, and that last scene in pretty much every movie, all of a sudden, it all makes sense. And you're like, oh... Like, the first one, it starts out and there's two guys and they're handcuffed in this room on opposite sides of the room, and I'm pretty sure it's like I forget the whole plot, but there's a dead guy.
Cuffed? Doesn't the guy cut his foot off?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, what ends up happening is, like, there's the Jigsaw killer, who's this guy named John, and he basically, like, not what's up, John?
John.
It's John.
John.
But yeah, there's, like, the Jigsaw killer, and it's this guy named John who again, whole backstory, I'm not going to explain it here, but he's, like, on this kind of rampage, trying to, like, morally correct the morally corrupt, I guess.
Right.
And so, like, he finds these people that have, like, committed these, I don't want to say atrocities, because some of it's just like, you've committed tax fraud and it's destroyed lives, you know, like, but then there's other ones where it's like, you killed my wife's baby, you know, like that whole thing.
Right.
So, like, so that's why he targets these people. And so, yeah,
so it's like Boondock Saints, but a serial killer.
Yeah, basically. and so, like, in this first movie, yeah, like Sean said, there's these guys that are cuffed, and the one, he's cuffed by his ankle, and I think the other guy's cuffed by his arm.
That sounds right.
And I'm pretty sure it's one of those where they have, like, a time limit, and I think it's like, it's one of those things where, like, they both can't survive or something, or
somebody's gonna die if something happens.
There's a dead guy in the middle of the room with a gun and, like, a bunch of blood. It looks like he, like, shot himself in the head. But so, like, it's this whole, like, psychological thing, and there's other people.
That one's fantastic. I forgot about that movie, honestly.
There's other people on the outside of that are involved, and it's like, you know, you see these things happening, like, throughout the movie. But what fucking did me in, it was the end of the movie, the last scene, where it's like, I'm pretty sure it was the guy that cut his leg off or cut his foot off or whatever, and he's, like, crawling for help or something like that. And then it's like, all of a sudden, the Saw theme song, that iconic, you know, the fucking...
I don't know, because I can't remember.
Oh, hold on.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's been years upon years since I've watched any of those movies. Because they got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not interested in this anymore.
I know,
it's way too, like, over the top, and, like, the first one, it was gritty.
The first one,
raw. It made sense. Like, yeah. But then, like, it just got to a point where it's like, holy shit, okay. Like,
yeah.
Now we're just trying to be as gory as possible. It's kind of boring.
That was my issue with the second one, because I felt like the first one there was the right amount of gore, and then the second one they just tried to push it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, that starts playing.
A flanger or a phaser?
That's a phaser for sure.
Is it? Yeah, you think so?
But it's one of those. So, like, that starts playing at the end while, like, this guy's crawling away, bleeding out because he cut his foot off, and then all of a sudden the dead. I'm doing air quotes. The dead guy laying in the middle of the room,
just laying there.
He gets up. He's been laying there for hours, and you're like, oh my god! And then he goes and then he's shutting the whole
twist.
The whole thing, and he's like, oh. The key that you needed for your handcuffs was because the one guy starts in the bathtub. He's underwater, and when he gets up, he's in a frenzy, and he pulls the plug, and the key he needed for the handcuffs goes down the drain. And so the dead guy stands up, and it's John Jigsaw, the killer, and he just looks at him.
Jigsaw.
He looks at him and he goes, the key is in that bathtub. And all of a sudden, the guy that's still chained there, like, you see him connect the dots and the tub draining, and then he goes and he closes the door with that song playing, and it's, oh my god, like, everything connects, and it's just so good. And then, like, the second one, I felt like it was so focused on gore that I was like, this is stupid.
Well, yeah, I don't like when, I mean, it depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I like just, like, straight up, like, raunchy horror movies, but the best ones I always feel are the ones that are more, like, suggestive. Like, you're not sure, like what's going on, and they don't necessarily show every little bit of killing that's going on, and then like maybe at the end like people will start popping out of like little trap doors and stuff, and you're like, oh shit, like that's what happened to that guy. Oh my god. You're like, wow.
I thought the third one was better than the second one because I felt like, so it was one of those, the first one, like I said, the whole time I was confused until that last scene, and I was like, oh, this all makes sense now. And then the second one was just like fourscore, but the third one totally ties the trilogy together, and then you're like, oh, okay, I appreciate the second one more now. We just watched 6 the other day.
Jeez, how many are there?
So I think there's 7, and then there's the movie called Jigsaw, and now there's this new one that's coming out, or something. Dude, Kayla would know better.
Did you hear that old guy at the diner saying something about Saw today?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he said something about watching Saw and how great it is or whatever. I can't... He looked like he might have been Jigsaw, but maybe a little too dumb.
I want to play a game.
He was pretty uncomfortable. I saw him trying to light a cigarette with a match, which, like, who does that anymore?
Yeah,
Get a lighter, old fool.
But yeah, so...
It's technology.
I kind of had similar feelings towards this last one that we watched. I felt like, I don't know, it was kind of just over the top, and I wasn't too crazy about it. We have one more to go, but...
I feel like horror movies nowadays, like... It doesn't make anybody... They don't make anybody, like, think enough for themselves. Or, like, wonder, like the whole suggestive thing. Like, just, like, everything has to be shown constantly, and it's, like, it makes it more boring for me.
I know, I think...
Like, that's not why I'm here. I want to be scared, and, like, the psychological stuff is what really makes you, like... uncomfortable or scared. Not that I really get scared, but
I know, and that's part of my beef. And I had a conversation at my last job out in Colorado about this. Was we were talking about horror movies, and I was like, I don't even like them anymore because they're not scary.
No.
And I think part of it is growing up you don't really get scared. The one that scared me, I've talked about it on the podcast before, was The Witch.
The
Witch. I recommend watching it. It's freaky. It's one of those that
What's
makes
it
you
on?
I'm pretty
Where's
sure
it streaming?
We watched it on Netflix.
Okay.
I believe.
I'll have to check that out.
But like the thing with horror movies now is like A, you're older, so like your mind is more developed and you don't really. But then B, it's all either focused on, like you said, gore, like showing everything, or they just rely on cheap jump scares.
Right.
You get the music cues and the
Which I don't mind a couple jump scares.
But like when that's The Nun, that's what the whole movie was.
Yeah, I could see
jump
that.
scares, or the ones where it's like the music's building, and then right when it's supposed to happen, nothing. But then they turn around and it's
that.
It's like
I kind of dig that a little bit. Like it's a good little classic trick.
But I just feel like every horror movie just plays on the same.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of how music is too, though. So
this is true.
Most
is anything
things,
original nowadays? I don't think
really.
so.
Not really. It's pretty disappointing.
But
I haven't felt refreshed by anything in a very long time.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't know.
But
I'd rather just keep watching the old shit.
Yeah.
Like all the old Halloween movies. Like, I'm a big Michael Myers fan. So,
yeah.
Like the originals, up to a point, they're just, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things. It's like The Witch, just to give the quick synopsis, because you've never seen it. Well,
I don't think I've ever even heard of it.
Do you think it's something? So it basically takes place.
Don't spoil anything.
So basically, it takes place in colonial America, and before we were even colonies, it was like that 1600s crew in Massachusetts kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was about kind of around the Salem witch trial time. And the thing that made it so freaky to me, so it involves demonic possession.
Of course.
It involves, so me and farms. I think farms are fucking freaky.
Yeah. Driving at night.
Yeah. And then not only that, so farms, and then like the whole colonial America thing, the way I described it to...
Everything's so desolate and...
Oh, yeah. And
there's nothing that you can rely on to save you at all.
Exactly. Well, and that whole...
Just surviving in general back then is crazy to think about. I think about that all the time.
Like, think about it now. If you hear a certain animal noise out back, you can like just quick Google it up, like animal noises.
Right.
Back then, and my friend Rob,
or like you just know what it is because you know, whatever.
My friend Rob put it really well when we talked about it a few years ago. He said like back in colonial America, it was like this whole like you're in this new land, it's densely wooded, you don't know what's out in the woods. So and back then, you know, and like with our species,
all the animals are different than Europe, and
and with our species, like we're always looking for like why, like the reasons why as people. So then what ends up happening is like you need an explanation. It can't just be, oh well, it might have just been something weird. It's like the devil's in those woods and that was, you know, like especially back then, you know, because there was that lower level of intelligence. There wasn't such a
was there though?
But you know what I mean? Like
I know what you mean.
The whole thing with like you can't
have
just quick
information at your fingertips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like that's part of what makes it so freaky.
And it's a whole new world. And
so
like Aladdin, it's a whole new world, whole different, you know, sets of species. And did you ever hear what a Fisher cat sounds like?
Oh, dude!
Could you imagine like being in colonial America and hearing that son of a bitch and like being like, what the hell was that,
dude? I remember 2009, 2010. I was like in maybe fifth or sixth grade. I was staying over at Grammy and Pop's house. And Pop had said something about, oh yeah, there was a Fisher cat out by our... Dude, I shit you not. He was talking about it, and then I remember it was a night I stayed over because I remember I went up and I was helping him like do yard work. And then we came in and he was on the computer just like clicking through videos or audio files of their scream.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out so much to the point where like when I went to bed that night, my mind started playing tricks on me and I thought I could hear it.
Right.
And it's one of those things where like as an adult you rationalize, you're like, well, I'm indoors. What's it going to do? Jump up and open the door, you know?
Right.
But as a kid, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I think I just heard one. You know, it was like that whole thing. Dude, those are freaky.
It's a creepy sound. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
so cool though. But yeah, imagine like you've never heard anything like that before. You're in colonial America, like you're just like in the middle of the night. Everybody's sleeping. You know, there's no hustle and bustle back then. You know? Like, so like in the middle of the night, it would have been dead ass quiet except for animals.
Yep.
And like if you heard one of those things, you're like somebody's getting murdered.
Well, and not only that too. You think about like the Native Americans sharing the land at that time. Some of those were like, I don't want to sound wrong, I'm not a total historian, but like warrior tribes, you know, you had warriors out there, and you had some that were more hostile, you know, and that were but yeah, so it's like
even nowadays in the Amazon and stuff, like there's still tribes out there you don't want to cross. You know.
And I mean rightfully so. Like who the, I mean, not to get into this discussion, but who the fuck were, you know, are we to like go and just push someone out of somewhere they've been in their whole life? It's shitty.
I mean, that's all of history. Every country, every continent. It's, I mean, still going on today. You know? Like, that's just humanity. But that's how we are.
But yeah, so like The Witch, that's what sold it for me. And the other thing too is like I'm pretty sure they had the people actually kind of speak in like an actual like old English dialect. So like the dad in the movie, it revolves around this one family. The dad, he was so hard to understand, I had to put the subtitles on like halfway into the movie. Because they're fucking talking like this. And you're like, holy shit. You're like, how the fuck? You know, so.
He's the guy that invented hot dogs, and he has like 5 of them in his mouth.
That's what it, dude, I'm not even kidding. I had to turn the subtitles on because I couldn't understand. But it revolves around this family and their goat. Their one goat called Black Phillip.
Oh, Black Phillip.
I would definitely say like you and Amanda would enjoy it. That was the last horror movie I saw that actually freaked me out, and I was 22.
Okay.
So like it was back in 2020. Kayla and I watched it, and it was one of those like it freaked me out because it's all stuff that's real.
I don't know if she's really into the whole demonic possession thing. I think that's one of those things that she's like uncomfortable about, like watching. She's just not a fan of. Yeah, she's changed as she's gotten older.
It's freaky, dude. Or if you're at work and you need something good to.
Yeah, I might do that tonight. Actually, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, it's but yeah,
all by myself.
It was
alone at work.
That's when I was working at Giant. So I would get up at 1:00 in the morning, and I remember like going through the house, it's pitch black.
Oh yeah,
and like it was when I just felt like I was being watched. It was like
I feel like I'm being watched at work all the time.
A couple weeks, it like really was like in my head and freaked me out. And I was like for me, if your movie is scary enough that like it freaks me out, like bravo to you, because I don't scare easily, you know. So like, it's definitely a great movie. But like horror movie wise, I mean, I would say the first Saw movie is definitely, just because it's such a mind fuck. I love that movie. The Witch.
That's a good one.
And then, I don't know, you get like those classic. I mean, like, what would you say some of your favorites are? You said you're a big Michael Myers fan, of course.
Yeah.
And
Halloween 1, 2. We're going to forget about Season of the Witch, I guess, because everybody hates that one. I mean, he's not even in it. But, yeah, and then, like, you know, I love The Curse of Michael Myers. Paul Rudd's in that one. Phenomenal. Okay. That's one of my favorite ones. It's like they bring in this, like, occult aspect where it's like there's this weird cult of thorn kind of thing. And, like,
yeah.
Kind of explains why Michael is so supernatural.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, a lot. I don't know. The 90s ones are really great.
I remember watching the second one with you.
H2O and Resurrection is so silly. Like, sometimes that's funny. That's the one with Busta Rhymes.
I didn't even know he was in one.
Yeah, they do, like, you remember, like, MTV Fear?
Yeah. They
kind of do, like, a thing like that.
Okay.
Where they go into the Myers house. And he ends up returning and just like laying waste.
Oh my
like
God.
Busta Rhymes is dressed up as Michael, like, because they're trying to, like, it's a production, you know? So they want it to, like, be scary and, like, you know, act like this stuff's really happening, and then it really does.
That's kind of cool. I like that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that one's, it's, I mean, it makes me laugh, but, like, sometimes horror movies do just make me laugh because I'm, like, you know, a weirdo like that. Yeah, but
I remember watching I think it was the night of your guys' wedding when I stayed over. I'm pretty sure we watched the second Halloween.
The original.
Yeah, it was like Halloween 2.
Halloween 2, where they're in the hospital.
Okay, so the only scene I remember is there's like a broom closet or something, and someone gets like an axe in their head, but it was like really poorly edited because it was obviously an old movie. I don't know, but yeah, it was.
It's been a while since I watched that one. I do like that one though.
Yeah,
one and two, like, the originals are so cool just because they, like, tie into each other so seamlessly. And yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Whenever, like, a sequel starts at the end of the first one, and, like, it's like it feels exactly the same. Everything looks the same.
Yeah,
I dig that. It's like did they actually, like, make this all at the same time
and then just
split it? Like, it's just, it just feels exactly the same, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I can't think of any other, like, I had a phase where we would pick out, like, the worst rated horror movies on Netflix and watch those. And I actually found some there was one called I think it was called Stalker.
Okay.
I think it was called Stalker.
Probably.
And there's two of them. There's a third one in the works, but it hasn't really gone anywhere.
Okay.
But it's like one of those indie horror films, and it's basically about, like, it's the same concept. It's some guy who, like, he hires someone to, like, document his life because his whole thing is like, oh, my wife's pregnant with my son and I have cancer and I'm gonna die. So then some, like, amateur, like, filmmaker shows up, and the whole thing looks like it's shot on a camcorder to fit that vibe.
That's cool.
And so, like, but what ends up happening is, like, the guy isn't actually sick, and he's basically, like, just fucking with the guy who's filming it. And then it ends where, like, he ends up creeping out. The guy that's videotaping it, he gets too creeped out, and then the, like, I'm doing air quotes again, the cancer guy, I can't remember names, but the cancer guy basically, like, sends him this, like, letter, or he calls him, he's just like, hey, like, I'm really sorry for freaking you out, like, can you meet me at X park or whatever, and, you know, we'll make up. So then the guy that's videoing it, he takes his camera and he's just like, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen here, but I'm just gonna go see what this guy wants. And he puts his.
I guess I'm gonna go die now.
Yeah, and so, like, where it ends is it's like one of those parks where there's, like, a lake, and there's, of course, a bench overlooking the lake. Yeah. He leaves his camera rolling on his dashboard, and you see, like, he walks up and he just, like, he's sitting there on the bench, kind of, like, waiting, and then all of a sudden, here comes the guy, and he had a wolf mask. That was the other thing, like, one of those, like, werewolf masks. And then all of a sudden he comes up and just axe to the back of the dude's head. Oh, dude. And that's where the movie ends. And the second one was kind of similar, but it was like it was the same guy. So he's basically like a serial killer, and I'm pretty sure he has, like, this collection of, like, tapes of him, like, killing people and stuff. It's really freaky, dude.
That's interesting.
It's indie, so, like, the quality's not as good, but, like,
that's okay.
It was one of those, like, mindfuck movies where the whole time you're like, okay,
where's this going?
This guy's a creep. Oh no, it's called Creep. That's what it's called.
Okay.
There's Creep and there's Creep 2.
Okay.
You're like, yeah, this guy's like a creep. Like, what the fuck? And then at the end, you're like, oh, okay,
I get it.
So definitely recommend those two. They're not like great, but they're good. I like them personally. I showed Kayla the first one, and she was kind of like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, but
not everything's for everybody either.
But
another classic that I walked in on my family watching it when I was really, really young.
Oh no!
Like my uncles and like we all lived in the same house, but we were like in a like apartment kind of like they turned the garage into an apartment for us kind of thing. So I remember being young and like walking over there, and they were watching Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
And so I always, like, for my whole childhood, I always had this, like, fear of mirrors, like Freddy was going to come out of the mirror, and, like, it just totally messed me up for forever. And we watched it a couple years ago, and for the first time in my adult life, like, and I don't think, you know, since I was a toddler, really, but, like, that one, there's some parts that I was like, that's really uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, when they're in the dream, in one of the first dreams, I think, and there's like somebody like in a plastic bag or something like that in the school, in the hall, and the way the lighting is and everything, it's just so weird because everything's so bright. Yeah. Which like you don't really think about for like a dream sequence in a horror movie or whatever, especially like something that's supposed to be so dark. But like it's so bright in there, and it just like feels so weird, and it's like sterile.
Yeah, I've
like,
never watched those movies.
That one, there's a lot of silly moments.
Yeah,
but that part, I was like, it just made me really uncomfortable for some reason. Maybe it's the whole like being wrapped in plastic and suffocating thing that makes me uncomfortable.
The whole like bright and sterile thing totally makes sense too.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Because like, I mean, and this might be like a weird comparison, but like thinking about watching The Walking Dead, and they have like hospitals that some of them still look untouched.
Period.
And it's just like
it gives off that kind of vibe. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'll have to.
Not grimy.
Yeah,
it was like. Yeah, like I said,
well, and it's like it shouldn't
sterilized kind of, but like
it shouldn't be as clean looking as it is for what it's part of. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. No, that
for
is
being
weird.
in a school and like in a dream sequence, but like and then like it just makes the blood look like it pops so much more. Right. And so it just like I don't know, it's really in your face. Yeah, I feel like that part.
Yeah. No.
But then when he's walking down the alley, and all of a sudden his arms get really, really long. They're like wobbly.
Yeah.
He looks like a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Yeah. Like, I'm just like, oh my god, what the hell? Yeah. Why did they do this?
I don't know.
But it's so weird. Like, imagine if you really saw that walking down an alley.
Yeah.
Some dude with like some claws on his hand, just like all of a sudden his arms get super long and snaky.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like how I feel about It. And I'm not talking.
I never watched the original.
Yeah, the original is awful, but it's because they made it for TV,
right?
So it's like really.
That's right.
But like
it was like a mini series or whatever, right?
Yeah, the ones that they did from like 2017, 2018, or something like that. One. Yeah, those ones were good. I enjoyed watching those. Yeah, I'm very selective with my. I mean, I guess just movies in general, because my whole thing is like if I'm going to give you 2 or 3 hours of my time, like make it worth it, right? And so like when you have those ones that stand out, or like that, or it's a memorable experience, at least that to me that's worth it.
I mean, I kind of do like watching shitty movies, just to make fun of them too. Though
we watched Kayla and I love watching Lifetime movies. We talked about this when you and Amanda were over a couple weeks ago, but. Yeah, like we'll watch like not all Lifetime movies, mainly the Christmas ones. Right. But we watched a shitty one called Pumpkin Pie Wars, which was pretty great too. That was like a fall. Yeah, check it out.
Was Stone Cold Steve Autumn in there?
No, he's in the part 2.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no,
he wins the pie contest by stunnering somebody, right?
No,
into a pie.
No, he eats the Rock's pie.
The Rock strudel.
The Rock strudel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
His poontang
pie. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so I don't know. Horror movies, they're not my favorite thing, but I definitely have my favorites, I would say. But then, so like if we venture into the realm of gaming, I know you grew up with like the N64, PS1 era. of video games.
Yeah,
and
well,
I know
even earlier than that, but that's when everything got really good.
Like I know I was
scarier.
I've tried. I'm not a big fan, but I know like the Resident Evil games were huge.
Yeah,
I know Silent Hill was pretty big.
Was super cool.
Yeah,
those were awesome.
I tried playing Resident Evil one time, and I didn't care for it.
I never played any of them,
but I think just that style. So that style has actually made a comeback. There's a
I know.
There's a game
even
studio.
like the PS1, PS2 kind of feel.
Yeah.
Also, that's like a huge thing now.
Yeah, there's a studio called Puppet Combo. Okay. I want to give a huge shout out to them. Not that they're going to listen to this, but no, my whole thing. So the reason why I thought of this is they're making games like modern games, but they make it look like it's a PS1 game or a PS2
it's
game.
A very specific feel and look.
And like especially that
the
whole
warping
system
of the edges and stuff.
Yeah, and the feel where it's like a set camera, you know, where it's like you walk down a hall and like you have no control over the camera, you know. They do that thing. There's this guy on YouTube, his name's Corey Kenshin. I actually found him a few years ago when I was working at Wegmans. One of his videos popped up, you know, the algorithm suggested him to me. He played this game. So Puppet Combo's done a bunch of games. They have a game about a nun. They have a game it's better than the movie. They have a game called Murder House. My favorite is Blood Wash.
Okay.
So and that's the first one I saw. That's the first one I saw. It basically revolves around this laundromat. And like you're some girl, and there's like this. I think the killer is called like the Ripper or something like that. And his whole thing is like he goes after pregnant women, and rips the womb out and stuff like that. But so like and you're
sick.
It's like that grimy feel, you know. The girls at like the apartment, and her whole thing is like, oh, I have to do laundry, and but it's like late at night.
It's like a mundane thing.
Yeah, she goes to the but like it's one of those you can go into different like storefronts. And like talk to people. It's almost like a murder mystery game, but then it also has those horror elements because like at the end of the game you end up in like where you're being chased by the killer, and you have to. So it's like one of those kind of things. But Corey Kenshin he played through like I would like to say he made his name playing like horror games on YouTube, and like the Puppet Combo ones are like the best ones just because like there's a charm to that style.
Oh, there is, and like the feeling of. The like emptiness and loneliness of those kinds of games, it's really a thing. Yeah, and like the music and everything, the sound effects, everything's just so specifically like that era. Yeah, and like I remember being a kid and playing games like that with like one of my friends or something like that, and it would be like 3:00 in the morning. And you're just like on edge, like oh my god, like I'm never going to sleep. And you know, to throw this out there, so like I said, I found him. It was 2020, and the reason 2021, and the reason I remember that so vividly is because I remember I was working at Wegmans, and it was the day before Thanksgiving. I had a shift, but it was this weird because. That week was insane. I would love to talk about it at some point on a podcast. But like the day before Thanksgiving, they had me on this weird shift, like 10:30 to 3. It was so weird. But I specifically like I'm the type of person I like to just get up and fucking go to work and get it over with. But so it was like I woke up and I had like the morning to just like do whatever. So I was watching him play these games while I was waiting to go to work. You're
gonna
have to send me some links, bro.
So
I
dude,
see these.
so this is the reason I say this is because back then it was just PC only. A lot of Puppet Combo games are available on the Nintendo Switch now.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, send me some stuff, dude. I will, because I'm gonna want to play some of that.
They're great. Yeah, like I said, Murder House and Blood Wash were my favorites, but they've got so many. I don't know what all is ported onto console. Right. I think they at least have like 2 or 3. But yeah, no, those are definitely phenomenal. And I mean, I don't really. Did
you actually play them then, or
no? I would like to pick them up though, for sure. Okay. They're not expensive. I think they're like $5 or $10. Oh, maybe 15. Yeah. Like they're definitely super affordable. Yeah. Like, you know, and unarguably better than some of the fucking garbage AAA games that are coming out now.
Right.
We could have a whole discussion on that another day. That's actually I want that on. I have that on.
Say I'm sure we will.
I said I have that on the slate for like early next year to do like a nostalgia episode. Yeah. But you know, yeah, it's just one of those. I'll send you some stuff because it's every time I saw it, I was like, man, Sean. I'll bet this is like what Sean grew up with. Like,
right.
So, now that you can play them,
games were so different back then, man.
I know, but I'm not really a big horror game. I like watching people play horror games. That's kind of my thing.
What was that one that you were playing not too long ago?
Outlast.
Yeah, right.
That was
where that dude was like
naked.
Yeah, right.
The two guys were standing
naked
there
guy.
naked.
That's right. That's right.
I remember because you were like, "Holy shit, that guy's wiener's out."
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
No, that was actually my other thing I had listed here was Outlast, because that was really the only one I've played that they're just freaky.
Yeah.
And again, it's the whole camcorder. You have to go around it. You have to, if you want to use night vision, you have to collect batteries around the levels, and it's gory, but it's the suspense of like someone chasing you. And
speaking of the whole batteries thing and stuff, so I'm playing the remaster of The Last of Us, which I never played any of those games ever.
Neither have I.
I never even thought about it.
Neither did I.
I just picked it up for like, I don't know, $20 or something like that, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. I know people love this, and now they even have a show, and like, so may as well just play it. Yeah. So I started playing it. It's a phenomenal game, but the whole battery thing. So like, if you have your flashlight on for too long, you have to shake your controller in order to like. I don't know if it recharges your battery, whatever. Like if it's like one of those weird like camping kind of lights or something. But yeah, I think that's a really cool touch. Like makes you feel something different, because like something crazy will be happening, like a bloater's after you or something. Yeah. And then all of a sudden your light starts flickering, and you're like, oh shit. So you have to quick shake your controller, and then it like comes back, and you're like, okay, that's cool.
I feel like
nice little touch though.
I think that game won Game of the Year like twice.
I'm sure it did.
So
it's phenomenal.
It's games like that like they have those little.
It's pretty linear.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, like I said, I was talking to somebody else about it not too long ago, and it kind of reminds me of the first Batman Arkham Asylum game. Okay. Where it's like, it's pretty linear. It might be even more so though. Like, sure, you can't really go back. Okay. Ever. Okay. Like it's just like you get to a point and then that's it. Like you can't go back to another area or whatever. Like it's locked. Okay. Yeah. So, really, really fun though. Really interesting, and kind of never know what to expect.
That's cool. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, like horror games, that's all I've ever played is Outlast. Right. I think I tried starting the second Outlast, and I just
wasn't the same.
It didn't. It's scarier, but. Okay. It didn't really grip me like the first one did. Like I feel like the second one I was just kind of like, I know what to expect. Like I played the first one and the expansion, the Whistleblower expansion, whereas the second one I was just kind of like, it's just the same thing. That's farm setting, which is my least favorite. But it was that whole. I was like, I know what to expect.
Was the first one a farm setting?
No, it was in like a
hotel or something.
An asylum.
Right? Okay, that's right.
And then the Whistleblower, you're kind of like down in the caverns under the asylum, and you're trying to escape. Okay. It's crazy because the Whistleblower DLC is happening at the same time the main game is happening, and so where the Whistleblower ends is where the main game ends. So it's like, yeah. So like the main. So
are you a different character?
Yes. Okay. So like in the main game, you're like this journalist that's going up to do some story about this like asylum that all these reports have come out of. Right. And it ends up, all this stuff happens, and then in the Whistleblower, it starts where you're like some guy, and you're I don't know if you're like a scientist, because there's like a whole lab and stuff. They're like fucking with dark energy and stuff like under the asylum, and you like write this email that's like, this is going on here, like send help.
So you're a whistleblower.
Exactly. But then it's like trying to I'm pretty sure like trying to escape and stuff. But but then it's like, I remember at the end, it's like you're just about to escape. You're like running up to like where it goes up, and where the first game ends is like where the police show up and everything. Okay. They fucking come down and shoot you. And it's like one of those, you're like,
that's such a cool ending though, because like you expect to like survive and stuff, because it's like, I'm gonna survive. I'm the character, and then like the way it ends is you get fucking murdered. Yeah, so it's fantastic.
It's really well done. But like, so like that's my thing is like,
I love
the second
bleak endings.
Well, yeah, because like
it's real.
Yeah,
like, you're not always gonna survive everything.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Eventually something's gonna get you.
Yeah, and so like that's the whole thing. Like I feel like the second one was just like, okay, like it's a different setting, but it's like the same concept as the first: cameras, batteries, night vision, hiding, getting chased. Like,
is it still like the same like dark energy kind of thing, or is there like
from what I picked up, it's
totally
different? It's more of like that kind of like backwoods cult kind of thing.
And it's kind of played out.
But like I hate playing games, not all the time, but like that kind of game where it's like you're just always running from something, you're always trying to hide. It's like, oh my god, how do I get out of this? And it's just, I don't always want to do that, and so like it just kind of like I didn't really have the span for it at the time. So I got into this phase in Colorado back probably in the spring sometime. It was like a week-long phase where like, so again, the YouTube algorithm recommended me this video. It was an EAS scenario. So, and how ironic, because the emergency alert system just sent the FEMA thing today, where all the zombie of The Walking Dead is going on outside. But it's so it's
only.
Emergency alert system scenarios. So like like when you'd be watching TV growing up and it'd do that.
All the
this
time.
Is a test, or like they have the one, like people do the pranks where like they put it on like their grandparents' TV and it's like North Korea has launched long-range ballistic missiles at the.
I've never seen one of those, but that's so pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, so like those like civil danger alerts or whatever that they send through either for weather or for like the inevitable World War III that's going to happen one day, But so like what people do is they take those, like the messages and they make like a whole fucking story out of them.
Fantastic.
So the one that Kayla and I watched, it was called Don't Look Up. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think I like started to explain it to you.
Okay.
At some point. So the whole Don't Look Up thing, it was like a 40-minute long like video story where they build the story. And the thing I love about it is, so like how we were talking about horror movies always being like visual and like they're showing you everything, these are fucking freaky because it's mainly just text and then like this audio of the message playing, and it's your head that builds everything. Like that. And that's why it's freaky, right?
I like listening to like horror stories a lot more than really like having visuals and stuff, because then you lets your mind wander. Go wild.
Yeah, there's none of those like music cues, or isn't all like
telling you what
the special effects. It's like your mind builds this, right? So it's a much more unique experience. But so like Don't Look Up was the main one I remember being like, whoa. Like, and then I watched a bunch throughout the week.
I'll have to look that up.
I'll send that to you too.
Or that specific. Yeah,
you're gonna be shitting your diaper at night shift tonight.
It's my last night shift.
But it
for the week.
Yeah, it's so like
thank the Lord.
Don't Look Up is basically this. It's this play around like there's this like weather event that's going to happen. It's a supernova that appears in the sky, and I guess if you're going to watch it, I won't spoil it.
Supernova or supercell?
No, supernova,
like the stars.
Yeah,
exploding.
So like there's a star that's going, and it's one of those where it's like it's that.
You said about the storm, so I thought maybe it was like a supercell.
Yeah, no. It's like I don't really know what like an astronomical event. Then I guess know. So it's about there's like this supernova that's going to happen. Isn't there
actually supposed to be one sometime soon that we're supposed to be able to see?
I don't know.
I feel like I heard something about that. I don't know.
I'll have to look into it. But yeah, no,
maybe it aligns with the FEMA thing.
Oh God, could you imagine, dude? Good God. No, Negan's outside right now. Rick. Holy shit. But no, anyways. So it revolves around this supernova that's supposed to be visible from Earth.
Right.
And the whole thing is
wild.
Like, how, I guess we could say the whole world, but like specifically America is nowadays, how everything is so split, everything is so divided. You have the media telling you it's okay. Yeah. The scientists say it's okay, but then there's like the tinfoil hat people that are like, don't look at it, it's not going to be good. So like there's this whole like pull, and it's like telling the story the whole time, and they're having these like civil danger alerts, and then when it finally happens, it's like, oh my God, the tinfoil hat people were real. And it's so I'm not going to
right.
I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's a good story, but they build off of, and it's like they do. There's ones that are like really short. Like there is the couple of the ones that freaked me out. It's like the Second Coming of Christ.
Ooh, yeah.
Which I'll circle back around to that. I watched one today because I wanted to
give me one of those too, because that's always. I had a recurring dream when I was a kid.
Really?
That yeah, my whole family, it was like a dystopian future. And we were in this like alley in the middle of a city. It was like a dead end, and the whole thing was a dumpster.
What?
And we were all in like just trash, or like 10 feet of trash, like from the ground. It was ridiculous.
Is this the apocalyptic dream at Valley Family Restaurant that you were telling me about?
No, this is totally different.
Okay.
No, but we're all in the dumpster together, like looking, scavenging for food and scraps and stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's really grimy, and then all of a sudden the Virgin Mary comes down from heaven.
What? That's freaky.
And like, like the statue, like her arms are like open, and like, and it was so scary. Like, when they talk about holy fear, like that was, I felt it. Yeah. It was so uncomfortable. I mean, I grew up Catholic, so
yeah, I was gonna say,
that was one of those things. I was so used to seeing that statue all the time, but yeah, it was beautiful, but so freaky at the same time, in the way it made me feel. Oh my God.
And so like, there's one where it's like the Antichrist. Yeah. And that one is,
I used to have dreams like that too.
So like, the thing with the second coming was, and I kind of laugh at it a little bit because, and I'll get to that point in like a few seconds after I talk about this. Like, if anyone's like read the Bible and you look into like the book of Revelation, it's like the whole Antichrist thing is like, it's a being that's already like put on earth. It can be political. It's someone with power. It's someone that gets people to follow them, to pull them away from
Everybody's
God.
Going to think that they're great and good.
Exactly.
And then it turns.
But the one that this one in specific that I watched, where it's like the arrival of the Antichrist, it's like this whole like, there's a weather. It's only like 2 minutes long. So these things can range from a minute to, like I said, it can be a whole 40-minute story. Yeah. But the Antichrist one, it's like, the civil danger, or the world government is issuing this civil danger alert because there's a fiery being coming out of the sky. The clouds have split, and and then it's like, and then eventually like it updates, and it's like the Antichrist has come to earth, and like, it's so freaky, dude. Like, but like, so like the thing is like, and not to like make this a religious podcast, but like, obviously, if you're a Christian and like you believe in God and you follow, you try your best to follow him, like, like situations like that shouldn't be scary, because if you're strong in your faith, that you're saved and you're going to be going to the right place. But it's like, just like, when you watch a fake video and it like gives you like that chill down your spine, you're like, man, imagine if this was real.
Yeah, the way it controls your emotions in just 2 minutes.
Yeah. Or like, yeah.
There's a talent there that those people have harnessed, and it's awesome.
But the one that got me, and it was one of the second coming ones or the Antichrist ones, because there's a second coming one, and they use some really gruesome images where it's like, those who haven't repented, like, you're going to hell, there is no escape, and like the images, oh dude, they're so freaky, because again, like, for me, it's like stuff that scares me is stuff that to me is real. Like demonic possession and Jesus and all that stuff. So like, the one thing, it's so funny, and this would be a total United States world government thing to do, is in the warning, they're like, stay away from, lock your windows and doors, close the curtains, stay away. And the one comment had me laughing, because it was like, all right, y'all, let's be realistic here. Like, you think if Jesus came back to earth, your locked door is going to stop him from coming in your house?
Right. Like, seriously.
And I was like, that's really funny, because,
I mean, do you think any of that is really going to keep anybody's dad off the porch during a thunderstorm? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I pictured. Just some dude in sandals, like, standing out on the porch, like, looking at the storm, you know? Like, because, whose dad doesn't do that?
Yeah. But it's just like, that's type, I'm like, that's so true, because like, the government and dads, but the government, like, thinking that they're all like high and mighty and like, we're gonna send the military, and it's just like, bro, Jesus probably he has so much power, he can just look at you and you boom, like, it's not that he's like an angry, like warlord, but it's that concept of like us as humans, or I don't want to say us, but like, the human nature of like thinking that we can handle anything, we can
overcome everything,
and it's like, it's just,
and it's something supernatural. Like, no,
so that
not really.
That had me laughing. Yeah, but like, so they range from anything. There was like a pandemic one where it was like a zombie outbreak.
Okay, pretty standard.
Yeah. And then there was, like I said, the supernova one. There's second coming ones. The one I watched today was 9 minutes, and it was about the second Civil War in America.
Ooh,
Texas seceding.
Fun times.
And it was one of those. It was so unrealistic, because it was like, Texas has seceded from the United States. It was like, okay, that probably could happen. But then it was like flipping back and forth between U.S. alerts and Texas, the Republic of Texas alerts, and it's like America's military is trying to invade our country, and we shot missiles at Oklahoma City, and then they shot nukes at Mexico, and then the U.S. signed in with Mexico to go after Texas, and then NATO got involved. It was this whole thing, but it was creative. Like, I'll give them that.
Sure.
Like, I'm sure if I figured it out, like, I'd be able to do those. But like those videos, I don't know how to make those, you know, and how to, like, the voice. It's that creepy, like, automated, like, really like not low frequency, but it's like they would roll all the highs off, you know, like that very muffly kind of, like, to do that and to have the visuals, like, that's a special talent, I would say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, man, I think I'm gonna wrap this thing up. I think our first Halloween episode turned out well. I think we talked about a lot of good shit. I actually think we got some good B-reel out of this episode too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been
some good donuts.
Ate some good donuts.
Therefore, it was already just bound to be great.
Yeah, shout out to Donerds. Please sponsor me, maybe. But yeah, no, this has been a great time, everyone. If you like what you heard, give us a like, leave a review of the podcast, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening from. Next month, we got some great episodes on deck. November, we're getting 3 episodes coming in. We got a Neighbors from Hell, which is going to be about my awful upstairs neighbors. With Maddie and Anthony, we're going to talk about living in an apartment and what that's like. And then,
fun time.
So it should be relatable for everyone. And then we're going to do, Pete and John and I are going to do a little Eagles bye-week football kind of episode, but that one will just be like a little extra. And then at the end of the month, we're going to be back for the new Blink-182 album, One More Time. We're going to be reviewing it.
Woo!
So got some great stuff on the way. I'm just stoked that the podcast is back underway. So if you like what you heard, give us a follow. Tune back in 2 weeks for some fun upstairs neighbor stories.